It's not always the most talented people, actually very rarely the most talented people that actually end up hitting goals.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the talent. And this is a great common misconception, is it's the person that turns up and has the motivation to push their business forward every single day. Discipline trumps motivation. So discipline is the ability to do what you probably don't want to do, but you know you have to do in order to get to where you want to get to, even when you feel you don't want to go and do it. Because what happens is, if you've got a routine and you've got a plan, you'll stick to it, just like the motorway, and you'll end to the destination. If you have to think about every decision, your plan or your path goes down different roads. And by the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, you could be miles off course because you've not stuck to your plan. Stick to your plan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Extra 5%, a podcast designed for ambitious people that are looking for that little bit extra to get them to the next level. Up to 90% of startup businesses fail, and many of them don't even make it past their first 12 months. So today we are back with Gilles Baudet to unpack some of the secrets to success in entrepreneurship. In today's episode, you can expect to learn how to stay on track, the importance of educating yourself, the 3 main types of goals, and much, much more. Gilles, welcome back.
Hi, Christian. Thanks. Good to be back.
Good to have you back.
Yeah,
I know
really
you've got quite a lot you want to unpack here in this episode. You and I were speaking yesterday a bit more about goals. So, you 20 plus years in entrepreneurship and business. What, in your eyes, kind of take me through some of the key points? Is there anything you can pinpoint that kind of leads to success in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this for a while, and I guess entrepreneurship is like climbing a mountain.
Okay.
And everybody has a different journey up the mountain. So entrepreneurship, everybody has a different journey. And that's why you should never compare yourself to anyone else around you, behind you, below you, to your left or to your right, because everybody has a different journey. So it's like running a marathon.
Right.
Let's put that marathon up an Amazonian mountain, right? And your starting point is all at different stages because everybody has different maturity levels, different skill levels, different life lessons and different blueprints. So everything's very different. So everybody compares themselves when actually they're so different, and the starting lines are obviously in different places.
Okay.
Some find the start very hard. Some find problem solving difficult. Some find problem solving easy. I loved problem solving. I absolutely loved it. I didn't like training people, whereas some people love training people and that's all they want to do. And can't stand problem solving. So I had to really, really get good and fall in love with training people, whereas other people have to get really good at problem solving. And I think it's really important. So if you unpack everything, right, and set it all to the side, what are you left with? You're left with a human being walking up a hill and dealing with all those objections along the way. And I think the fuel is motivation. I think we've spoken about this before. You could have a really lovely Ferrari and you could push that pedal, but if it's got no fuel in it, you're not going anywhere. Fill it full of fuel. Let's call that fuel motivation. And then you can do some fantastic things with that Ferrari. And I think motivation is the key because, and it's not just motivation, it's sustained motivation. And that's what I'd really like to deep dive because people give up, people give in, people have high energy, low energy on certain days. And unless you're consistently moving forward, unless you're consistently, that's what I like to say, consistently you're picking your business up and moving it forward. You're on that mountain, you're consistently moving up the jungle. So when you sleep at night, you look back and you see, that you are higher than you were in the morning. But it's consistency. And therein lies the essence is you have to be motivated every day to pick your business up and move it forward, but it has to be every single day or it's not going to work. So if you go to the gym 4 times a week, consistently for 1 year, providing you do the right stuff, you're going to look fantastic. But if you go week 1, 4 days, week 2, 4 days. Week 3, 1 day. Week 4, 2 days, and you become inconsistent. At the end of the day, you're going to have 2 very different physiques. And this is something I get really, really passionate about. I work with lots of amazing entrepreneurs. And it's not always the most talented people, actually very rarely the most talented people that actually end up hitting goals.
Really?
Yeah, it's not the talent. And this is a great common misconception, is it's the person that turns up and has the motivation to push their business forward every single day. So you've ever heard the snail versus the hare?
Yeah, of course.
Or the rabbit?
Yep.
Right? Who wins is the snail. Because the rabbit always thinks that they're going to be the best, but isn't consistent. Whereas the snail knows he has to work, or she has to work really, really hard, but consistently moves every single day. A sales entrepreneur has to consistently work hard every single day. If you do that, you'll climb the mountain. It's all about motivation. So I'm very passionate about this. And I get very, very passionate when I talk about this, because it's your response. If you're going to be a sales entrepreneur and you sign up for it, it is your responsibility to keep motivated. You must work at learning how to motivate yourself every single day, just as much, if not more, than you do the art of sales or business or anything, any other skill. Because unless you've got petrol in your Ferrari, unless you're walking, vividly up that hill, you're not progressing in sales. So with all the best intention, if you can't get out of bed, you're not going to go anywhere. It is a responsibility to hone the art of self-motivation. And that's what I'd really like to talk about today. It's about how do you stay motivated every single day for a prolonged period of time with a consistent amount of energy, more than enough to go and climb those mountains and hit your goals, make those sales, and build those big businesses. And that's what I'd like to talk about today.
Okay. I feel that motivation is obviously a really big topic.
Yeah.
We spoke about it before on the podcast, and it obviously is intrinsically quite emotional. Motivation's how you feel, right? And motivation can be a bit fleeting because of that if it's not channeled correctly. So it'd be really interesting, I guess, in your eyes, to get some kind of some steps, or kind of like a kind of key points you feel in terms of how you would, one, put that together, and then two, how you then channel that into a business.
Sure. So the first place we should start, and everybody should start, I believe, is the why. Why do we do what we do? Simon Sinek had a great YouTube video with 17 million views on the reason why. I think he related it to Apple computers. But you relate it back to you. Why do you want to do what you're doing? So if you want to be a sales entrepreneur and you want to go and make loads of money and build loads of businesses, why? What does that mean to you? Because you might want to go and buy a Ferrari, but I might not like Ferraris. I might want to go and build schools in Africa. I might want to go and give my family a good life. I might want to do holidays. I might want fulfillment. I might want happiness. I might, what does it all look like? So you really have to understand why you want to do what you do. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. You can have multiple answers. It doesn't really matter. So when I started in sales entrepreneurship, my motivation, there's two types of there's lots of types of motivations. But for this, there's two types. There's the forward motivation, which is I want, and then the backward motivation, I don't want. Okay. I was very backwardly motivated. So I said, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be on this bus anymore. I don't want to be worried about paying my bills. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be average. I was scared of failing. So I got my fuel and I got my energy from being backwardly motivated, thinking, I don't want to go backwards. I actually don't like here. I need to get there really quickly. And that gave me that motivation every single day. And that ties into standards. So I had a great chat to my son the other night. And we were talking about motivation for working out, for playing football, for his schoolwork. And he was like, how do you stay motivated all the time? And I said to him, his name is Lewis and he's 13. and he's in high school. And I said, it's all about the standards that you want for yourself. What standards do you adhere for yourself? Where do you see yourself? So I'll give you an example. It's like you get out of bed and you'll leave a messy bed. Is that your standard? Or are you going to make the bed? What are your standards? When you introduce yourself to somebody, how do you come across to them? You know, when you get dressed in the morning and do your hair, you know, do you just wake up and have something to eat and then just go straight out the door and don't brush your teeth and don't do your hair and don't put on fresh clothes? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or do you have a shower and do you wash your hair and do you comb your hair and do you have fresh iron clothes? Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
When you leave, you know, do you manicure your beard? Do you look as best as you possibly could? Do you have self-pride? What standards do you have of yourself? That's, you know, so I said to my son, are your standards at school, do you want to be an A grade student or a B grade student? What are your standards? And then that all relates back to why. Why do you want to be an A grade student? And we spoke about studies and what he wanted to go and be when he finished school and what he wanted to do at university, and then when he was an adult or a young adult, where he'd like to go and venture. And we worked out that you had to be an exceptional student for him to fulfill his goals. So his standards couldn't be a B grade student or even, you know, 6 A's and a B. He had to have straight A's. And all of a sudden he looked up and he was like, I fully get that now. Okay, cool. And then his demeanor towards studying changed because he had his reason why. So you've got to have your reason why. You've got to also understand you'll have your forward motivation and your backward motivation. And then that relates into like your standards of living. Look, if you're happy getting the bus, great, get the bus. They're there for a reason. If you're happy, you know, in the same household that, you know, you grew up in, then that's okay. If you don't want to go on many holidays, or just want to go to one holiday for a 3-star hotel in Spain, and that makes you happy, great, that's okay. But if it doesn't, then you need to change your standards. And a lot of people find it difficult because a lot of entrepreneurs are self-made. A lot of entrepreneurs come from families that don't have too much and they want more. And they feel bad about having different standards. But that's okay. Everybody's different. So my dad said to me, the reason why the world's so beautiful is because everybody's so different, and that's okay. And if you want to be different, then that's actually even better, because the more different people, then the more the diverse and beautiful the world's going to be. So then you've got the 3 main types of goals. You've got your short-term goals, your medium-term goals, and then you've got your long-term goals. And I'm going to explain that. So you've got your long-term goals, which really correlate into your reason why. So it might be a 1-year goal. I want to achieve X by the end of the year so I can do X, Y, and Z, and that's going to fulfill some of my purposes. For me personally, my purposes and my purposes are around about 5 to 10 years away, sometimes 30 or 40 years away. So I'm quite visual. If I can see it, I'm in. And they tie into my why. So I want ultimate freedom on earth, meaning, now what does that look like for me? It means having enough money to do whatever I want, whenever I want, travel whenever I want, bring whoever I want with me, because I love to have a great time with lots of people, and travel however I want, whenever I want, and not have to go and do a job every single day. Total freedom. Turn around to my wife and go, I want to go to India and go to the Color Festival. Let's go. When is it? Friday. Great. Who are we taking? Let's take some friends and the kids. How fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great?
Yep.
And to just go and taste the riches of the world. So that for me would be a goal. You might have a work goal. You might have a fitness goal. I want to lose X amount of weight. I want to look like this in 5 or 10 years. This is the lifestyle I want to have. This is where I want to live. It's quite exciting. They're my favorite goals. So everybody's different, remember? Some have really strong 5, 10-year goals. Some have strong daily goals. My daily goals, they're not that strong. I've got them. I hit them. I do whatever it takes. Does it excite me? Not really. But does traveling around the world excite me? Absolutely. In order to get that, to get what I want, my purposes and my long-term goals, I know what I have to do.
So just to clarify, because
Sure.
obviously the why is really important. That's kind of, as you said, that's what fuels you, fuels a Ferrari, as you said. Is that where you start? Do you start with there and then kind of work backwards?
You can start wherever you want, but I start with the why.
Okay.
So I want this freedom on earth. And that's what, and I explain what that looks like to me.
Yep.
And then I'm like, to get that, I need my business to be this big. So that's my long-term goals.
Yep.
And I correlate some personal goals into that. You get your midterm goals, which are anywhere from 1 month to a year, to a couple of years. It's like, what milestones do I have to work towards that still really excite me, that are going to help me towards my long-term goals and fulfill my whys.
Yep.
Then you got your short-term goals, pretty much weekly and daily, what I need to do. So Elon Musk, when he was building Tesla and X at the same time, broke his 18-hour days, which are 260, broke his 18-hour days down into 5-minute scheduled time slots, which is 216, I think.
Jeez.
And he had a clear outcome and purpose for every single 5-minute slot to build those businesses.
Wow.
It's incredible. That's called very short-term goals.
Wow.
But I bet you he achieved an absolute huge amount. Well, he built 2 of the biggest companies in the world simultaneously, what hardly anybody we ever know on earth could do. It's important to have your short-term goals because they are going to propel you every single day. So if we circle back, it's about climbing the mountain. It's that step, going to bed higher in the mountain than you did when you woke up. You're higher in altitude. You've gone further. No matter what has happened, you could have come across a lion. You could have come across a tribe. You could have had to cross a river or a lake. You could have, anything could have happened. You could have been bit by a harmless or a venomous snake. It doesn't really matter what happens. You've got to keep moving forward in entrepreneurial land. You can't go, oh, today this happened, so I retreated. And the next day this happened, so I didn't progress forward. Because at the end of the year or 2 years, you're not going to have gotten anywhere. And it's a real mentality shift from being employed to being self-employed. This is a whole nother topic, but we usually, like I did, come from families that were employed. So normally, they don't have the entrepreneurial mindset. So it was very difficult for me to relay and learn how to be an entrepreneur and why I wanted to be an entrepreneur to my parents who were happy being employees. So therein lies another one. And in that, usually entrepreneurs come from non-entrepreneurial families.
Right.
Because usually they want what they don't have.
Right.
And that drives huge motivation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about, so Stephen Bartlett talks a lot about that in his podcast, how he came from very little.
Yeah.
And he, kind of same as yourself, his constant driving force was, I don't want to go back there. He talks about, having to like steal pizzas from convenience stores because he had no money, and how that was his fuel. So there's obviously this element of contrarianism, if you will, where there's a common theme with many successful entrepreneurs of being against the grain and, different from the norm. What would you say? Because it's all well and good to say, oh, you have this big purpose. Surely, when you combine those two things together, having this big goal and big purpose, and then being from a background or being surrounded by people who don't have that same mindset, surely that must come across as being a bit crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it can make you feel a little bit bad because you're like, well, they're my wonderful family and they're happy and all is great. But why am I different? Why am I different? And so it's very simple, is you find like-minded people, associate with people you want to be like, and it'll take you to a level you've never dreamt of. Never dreamt of. And that's why I love the companies that I'm involved in, because we all do it together. We got entrepreneurs and we're all together. We go through the highs together. We go through the lows together. We climb the mountains together. We drive the Ferraris together. We're together. And when you hang out, like a lot of people find at my age, 44, I go back to work. I was in the office till 10:30 last night. People say, why do you work? Like, why? And I understand it. Like, they probably don't like their work, so they get away as quickly as possible. I absolutely love it. There's like 300, 400 people in the building, all wanting to be entrepreneurs, all doing sales, all having a great time. It's just a great vibe.
Yep.
It's a great place to be. So yes, if you're going to go down, if you want different things, you have to do different things. And what I found was when I found my tribe, I was really happy. And my tribe was sales entrepreneurs that were all super motivated to build better futures, big businesses and better futures. And I'm just happy there. And that made me happy. So find your tribe. The other thing that's really important is this, and this is something that I spoke to my son about in the same conversation. He's like, Dad, sometimes I feel like I want to hit my goals and I want to study, and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
Are you the same? I'm like, of course I am. I'm a human being. Human beings are designed to sometimes feel good and sometimes feel bad.
Yep.
To sometimes feel happy and to sometimes feel sad. To sometimes have a clear head, to sometimes have a migraine. We are so complicated. I'm not going to sit here and try and figure us out. But some days I feel amazing. Some days I don't feel amazing. So how can we walk up the mountain and fall asleep at a higher altitude than we did when we woke up? How can we put petrol in the Ferrari when we don't feel like going to the petrol station? So here's the next bit, but it's not so simple. It's called discipline.
Okay.
Discipline trumps motivation. Discipline is the ability to do what you have to do, in brackets, probably don't want to do, close brackets, in order to get to where you want to get to. And that is going to be the biggest difference, because anyone can be motivated for a day or two. Anyone can be motivated for a week. Some people can be motivated for a year, but can you be motivated every day, 7 days a week for an amount of years it's going to take to build that business? No. It's like a footballer. How many seasons have you got? It's like, how many games can you score goals in? How much have you got? At what level do you stop performing?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know discipline's super important. I do want to just come back to one thing you said earlier about the tribe thing, just to kind of clarify, because I know there will be people out there who are on the entrepreneurial journey and they're wanting to fulfill their goals and make something themselves, and they will naturally be surrounded by people who maybe don't understand it, and they're probably going to get a bit of pushback. So just to clarify with the whole tribe thing, you're not advocating for just like ignoring your friends and family.
No. Oh, no. No. Love your friends, love your family. No way. I didn't lose contact with my friends. I didn't lose contact with my family. But I found another tribe that I was really, really happy with, and I spent a lot of time with. But they made me feel good about who I was, and they helped me get to the next level in the industry I wanted to be in. They inspired me, they educated me, they motivated me, and just being surrounded by similar-minded people.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense, because obviously if you want to become a multimillionaire, you want to own businesses, you can't learn that from somebody who's only ever been an employee and worked at,
you can't, no.
If
you want to be a UFC fighter, hang out in UFC gyms. Yeah. Don't go and hang out in Burger King. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, you've got to find your tribe.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That's fine. I just wanted to clarify, just because I know that will be a common thing for many people, because naturally sales and entrepreneurship is a bit contrarian. It is different. It is, kind of against the grain of what most people consider to be, a kind of normal career.
Yet most parents aren't entrepreneurs. A lot of parents aren't in sales. So usually parents are against children's decisions because they don't understand them or don't know them. And that's up for the child to educate themselves about the industry. and be able to explain it to mum, dad, and friends. Yeah.
Cool. That's fine. Thank you. Back to discipline, right?
So discipline trumps motivation. So discipline is the ability to do what you probably don't want to do, but you know you have to do in order to get to where you want to get to, even when you feel you don't want to go and do it.
Yep. You've spoke about this a bit when you spoke about ice baths before, how there's mornings that you don't want to get in.
Like this morning, I definitely didn't want to do an ice bath. I had the fear, and I'm like, brain, think what you want. Body, you're going in and you're staying there. So how do you do it? Great question. Discipline, first of all, you need to know what to do. And majority of us by now know what we need to do. And I just have a little saying in my head is be brave. Be at your best. I say things like this, be someone. Don't be weak. Be a man. Do you know what I mean? So I have little sayings where I'm like, get on with it. Don't be bullied, right, by your lack of motivation. Don't be bullied. You're better than that. I think things like, let's go. Or I have another one, what I used to be when I was doing my sales, I'm like, this is going to make me a millionaire. And little tiny sayings to make me want to do it a little bit more than really not wanting to do it. My next thing is I have a new reward system.
Okay.
It's called happy versus regret. So let's go to an ice bath as an example.
Okay.
Do I like going in an ice bath? Absolutely not.
Yeah, probably not.
But why I get in? Have I ever regretted an ice bath?
Probably not.
Never.
No.
Do I feel happy after an ice bath? Am I glad I did it after, once I'm out?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you do it. Now, if I have a drink, have I ever regretted having a drink?
Probably.
Probably, right? Am I happy when I wake up after a drink?
Depends on how much you've had.
Exactly. So is it always a good idea to have a drink? No.
Not always.
When I go for a run, I'm always happy. I never regret it. So guess what I do? I go for a run. If I'm learning about sales, a new sales technique, which we did a lot on over the weekend, and I was in a room for 10 hours for 2 days. Did I want to be in that room for 10 hours and 2 days? No, I'm highly ADHD. I can't really concentrate. I can't sit still. I find it very difficult. But I did it because I'm happy showing people how to sell and how to make more money. Discipline, once you get good at being self-disciplined, your entire life will change. And you'll be able to create and form and maintain new habits that'll take you mentally, physically, and spiritually to a whole new level. So discipline is absolutely key.
I think it's easier said than done. And I'm not discounting that. Obviously, discipline is so key. But how do you stay on track? Discipline's easy to do when things are good, and not so easy to do when things aren't as good. So there's always noise. There's always things going on. There's always outside things that are trying to distract you, right? Your brain is designed to keep you comfortable.
Yep.
So how do you stick on that path and keep going?
So like when we started, you've got to have your strong reasons why.
Okay.
So for me, a really strong reason why is I knew one day for some reason, I just knew I'd have a daughter. And it was, what sort of a dad are you going to be? You're going to be able to take your daughter and, nice shops and dress her nicely and give her a wonderful life. What sort of a life are you going to give your daughter? And for some reason, that really resonated with me and gave me a big kick up the backside when I needed it. So you've got your reasons why. And I think you start with there. So I was always like, if I didn't want to get out of bed, or I didn't want to, keep doing sales calls or keep knocking on doors or keep selling, or I wanted to go home early, I was like, these little tiny parts of your sales day will be the difference whether you make it or not. So if you go home now, you're like everyone else and you're going to be like everybody else. If you stay an extra 2-3 hours and keep selling, you're going to be the extra 1%, and that's what you want to be, or the extra 5%. You're going to be the extra 5%, and that's what you want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it was about, you're going to hit your goal or not? Yes. Okay. We're going to continue doing what we need to do, or we're going to muster up the energy to go and do it. There's no real formula, Christian, on how to do what you don't want to do, apart from just do it.
Well, I think fair, and I think that therein lies the importance of the why and having it be personal. The first thing you said was something that's really powerful and personal, because if it's not authentic to you, it's not going to push you enough to be disciplined.
Yeah.
If you don't like cars, but you're thinking, oh yeah, I want I want a Ferrari, then when it's raining and you're tired, it's not going to be.
But if you're like, I'm going to have a daughter and I'm going to give her a great life, and that great life is being built right now, all of a sudden you keep selling and you sell hard. Rain, hail, or shine, you keep selling. And I think for me, when you look at me as an individual, I didn't do that well at school. Highly ADHD in both forms. I'm dyslexic. I wasn't the best reader, okay? And my memory's not that great. So as like super intelligent entrepreneurs, I'm not really in that category. What category I am in, and I'm really proud to be in, is I'm in the snail. I keep moving forward. Like David Goggins says, I'm going to keep carrying that boat. Do you know what I mean? Put that log, and I ain't going to let that log go. I'm just going to keep every day. And sometimes I'm like, on the weekends, I'm like, you've got to do half an hour work now or you're going to be poor. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like the other day, the family were watching this movie, had the fire on, and the movie had finished. And I was like, okay, cool. I've got to go make, some business calls on a Sunday night. And I really didn't want to do it. I was like, I really want to stay here, put another movie on. I want to extend
Stay by the
this
fire
lovely, family feeling. And I'm like, no, you are going out into your car and you're going to do 3 hours of calls. And I punished myself of doing like an extra hour just to make a statement to myself, was like, don't be weak, don't be a bitch. It's like, let's go. You acquired this business and this wealth, and you got to keep it going and keep moving forward. If you don't, it all collapses, because you can build, get lazy, and it goes away. So it was really, it's really about just telling yourself and forcing yourself, go and do what you need to do. Now, when I finished the calls, how did I feel?
Probably pretty good.
Pumped, motivated, so psyched. I was happy. I didn't regret it. And I wish I did 4 hours.
Because that's going to move you forward towards the goal.
Yeah, I had some great calls. We inspired each other. It was fantastic. We had a great week. It was so important, and that inspired me for the following week to go and do 3-4 calls again, and really take my discipline to a new level.
Right. So quick recap then. So obviously we spoke about purpose and the importance of that, and how that then ties in with your discipline. I think that's pretty clear to me. So any other kind of like top tips in terms of key focus points or key habits to establish?
The other thing, the biggest things I can think of is a routine. You've got to have a routine for at home and work, even on the weekends. Because if you've got a routine that makes you feel good, automatically you're going to start feeling good, and you don't have to think too much. When you start to think and overthink is when your mind starts to just play tricks on you. And you don't really know what path your mind takes you down. Whereas I've got a really strict morning routine and it's every day, including a Sunday and including a Saturday. And if you've got a routine, you're going to feel good by the end of it. You don't have to think about it, and it's just done. Another thing is motion creates emotion. So the goal is to feel good, but you're not going to feel good unless you move. So if you sit in a chair, right, you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel a little bit sleepy, okay, and you're not going to go and want to take over the world. But if you go for a run, guaranteed, you'll feel amazing because it releases endorphins.
Yep.
It's scientifically proven. Motion creates emotion. So I just move, and that starts with like a morning routine. And have a plan. Have a plan and stick to it. Make sure you have a very, very as detailed plan as you possibly can. That'll get you excited about the stepping stones, okay, of how to climb your mountain and reach your goal. So you don't just stand at the bottom of the mountain and be like, okay, cool, which way should I go? You've got to have a plan. You don't get into your Ferrari, fill it full up of petrol motivation, and then just start smashing into buildings, do you? Follow the road, because the road's going to take you to where you're going to get to. Do you know what I mean? So have a plan. I think a lot of people, don't have a plan. And I call it like are you a bull or are you a stallion? So my dad used to call me a bull. He's like, you're crazy. You just come out of the gates and you just hit every single tree. And by halfway through the day, you're out. He goes, you need to be a stallion. Just as fast, if not faster, but calculated and smart and intelligent, and miss the trees, and you'll end up at the top of the mountain. And that's all by having a routine in the morning. It's like, to diverse a little bit. If you notice, if you see me most days, I'm dressed pretty much the same, from white to blue.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
because I don't really want to think about what I have to wear and sit there going, what am I going to wear?
Yep.
Because it just distracts me. I start thinking. I have no idea. I have no interest. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I know if I stick to certain colors and I buy nice clothes, I'm going to look as good as I possibly can. It's going to meet my standards. I'm going to look great, and then I'm in.
Yep.
As good as I possibly can at my age, right? But if I turn up to a closet, I'm like, it's just like turning up to your day going, because what happens is, if you've got a routine and you've got a plan, you'll stick to it just like the motorway, and you'll end to the destination. If you have to think about every decision, your plan or your path goes down different roads. And by the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, you could be miles off course because you've not stuck to your plan. Stick to your plan. Could you imagine like an SAS team going into some country to take over a building and having no plan? Right, when the helicopter hits the ground, we don't know where it's going to hit. We don't know where the building is, but we're just going to go and try and find it. We're just going to go and see what happens. Like, come on.
Where are we going? Don't know.
Don't know, but we're going. This is the building. It's got a red X on it.
Where is it? Don't know.
But we laugh at that. That's what people do every single day with their own life. Take responsibility of your life. Take responsibility of your motivation. Learn how to motivate yourself. Keep learning how to put petrol in that Ferrari every single day, because I believe the underpinning energy of what makes entrepreneurs succeed is their daily high motivation and energy. It's just key. And to have that consistency every single year over a prolonged period of time. I believe that that's half the battle.
And I know we really have unpacked that on the podcast before, so I'm not going to delve too much into that, but I think it really makes sense. As someone who sees, successful entrepreneurs like yourself and like others we work with quite regularly, it's maybe easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, well, they're just like that because they're successful. And it's quite the opposite. It's like a chicken and egg thing. It's like, but are they successful because they're like that? And are they like that because of they force themselves, they learn how to be like that? It's not a natural thing.
No.
And I think that's the important.
People think it's natural. People think, oh, that's just Gilles. That's just Christian. That's just, that's just such and such. No. Especially, maybe in Elon Musk's different. Okay? But that's fine. I don't think I need hundreds of billions of US dollars. But I think the majority of successful entrepreneurs, absolutely, it's a learned practice. And that should give everybody that listens to this podcast a lot of confidence to say, oh, I can do it. I just have to learn how to do it and implement those strategies. So learn to put fuel in your Ferrari, and maybe one day you'll be at a BP petrol station and you'll be having a Ferrari and you'll be like, oh, I'm actually doing it physically. How time flies.
Fantastic. Love it. Thank you so much, Gilles. Thank you for coming back on. Always a pleasure. Aside from that, I've been Christian Dye. Thanks for watching. This is the Extra 5%.